Therefore, if you want to walk the path of Agni Yoga, you have to search for your teacher, for the next higher guiding level of the hierarchy. You must know your true Father. To whom else do you want to turn when you are in need and require advice or support? Friends, if you wish to approach us, choose a teacher on earth and place your guidance in his care. Each one should have a teacher on earth. Precious is the bold desire to seek, because he who seeks finds. If the desires of the spirit are sublime, it can discover sublime forms, and in imitating them, it can contribute to perfectionment. There is a necessity established by law, which you may safely rely upon. The higher levels take you under observation as soon as you have aroused their attention by your search, your aspiration, and your actions. How to find the teacher? Let us not forget that the laws of the will possess the property of attracting the attention of whomsoever the call concerns. Do you not know that a sincere, ardent call of the heart and the consequent deeds act as a most powerful radio and inevitably reach the great heart? Therefore, if your friend is ardently striving toward light, this very fact makes him known to the great teacher. This law actually forces your teacher to turn his eyes onto you. The teacher is ready to accept every sign of devotion. Devotion and readiness forge the bond between the worlds. To accept any man as a chela does not depend on my personal will. It can only be the result of one's personal merit and exertions in that direction. Force any one of the masters you may happen to choose. Do good works in his name and for the love of mankind. Be pure and resolute in the path of righteousness, as laid out in our rules. Be honest and unselfish. Forget yourself, but to remember the good of other people, and you will have forced that master to accept you. How can you find your master? The first prerequisite is walk yourself the spiritual path and obey its laws. Only in this way can you prove to him that you are worthy to be accepted as a disciple. If we long for an undeferred advent, then the ways should be cleared without delay. Day and night, one must be accustomed to fulfilling the decrees and being imbued with the covenants. Above all, a thorough purification is required. Physically or spiritually polluted, You cannot dare to step before the face of a great saint. Cooperation will develop depending on the power and purity of thinking. Thus, man alone prepares his place in the supermundane world. The appearance of the teacher depends on a high level of thinking of the seeker. Instruction will come in no uncertain way to the disciple who has fitted himself by purification for such instruction. The great spiritual law says, once the disciple is ready, the teacher appears. The disciple must have developed already a high and strong striving on the path towards that great ideal which the teacher embodies and exemplifies. The teacher invariably appears when the disciple is ready. This law is immutable. The teacher will not lose a single moment if he sees the disciple is ready. What does readiness mean? Helena Röhrig gives 3 important explanations. First, readiness requires complete devotion. If the teaching is applied, if patience is indomitable, if courage, fearlessness, and devotion burn in your heart with an inextinguishable flame, you will attain your aim, and the great teacher will not delay in manifesting himself in some way. Readiness requires further. Question yourself. What are the qualities of a disciple? Make an effort to acquire them and to renounce all those habits which are incompatible with your ideal. The great covenant, when the disciple is ready, the teacher appears, is seldom understood. There are not many who ask themselves what this readiness actually is. Should not this readiness consist of certain qualities? The trouble is that people do not want to realize that at the foundation of this readiness and of all the achievements there is the following of a great ideal involving a fiery transmutation of all our feelings, of our whole character. People would rather give up various excesses and thoughtlessly, mechanically perform their pranayama than surrender even one habit that stands in their way to spiritual achievement. Finally, readiness means maximum concentration on the chosen ideal, which takes precedence over all other exertions. Their only consideration is the concentration on the chosen great ideal, on the unwavering and constant striving to approach it. Such concentration continues unceasingly. Whatever such a yogi or disciple is doing, his thought is always occupied by this ideal. Everything is performed in the name of this ideal, and he always feels in his heart the love and the presence of this image. When such a constant presence of the chosen image comes into the life of a disciple, when there is no further deviation, then there is true readiness. The teacher appears, and the disciple, under observation, is accepted. It is not you who decides. The teacher alone knows when a disciple has reached that stage where he is suitable and receptive for personal instruction. The teacher knows who discriminates and who will be able to receive the gifts. Searching means look for people who are close to you. Each one who enters the path of discipleship, and this is not just studying occult literature, must firmly decide in the depth of the heart which of the great teachers of the Brotherhood is the nearest for him. Then one must completely surrender oneself to this high guidance, without any limitations, any conditions. In practice, you may visit spiritual centers in your neighborhood and get to know the spiritual leaders who are teaching there. Search also for historical periods and countries you feel connected with. Look for communities you may be related to. For example, Pythagoreans, Plato's Academy, the Stoics, the medieval monks' orders, samurai, theosophists, and the like. Above all, you should study the lives, writings, and letters of the great world teachers, saints, spiritual heroes of all times and all confessions. From Pythagoras to Gendai, from Saint Catherine of Siena to Helena Blavatsky. In this illustrious circle, you will certainly find a spirit who is akin to you. Choose that light-bearing hierarch who is nearest to your spirit, and surrender yourself to his guidance. For, verily, each great hierarch of light is the reflection of God upon earth. Develop your psychic energy, your spiritual powers, your higher, finer, inner senses. They will infallibly point out the right direction. According to the law of correspondence, your higher self is quite naturally drawn to the teacher who is in accordance with your nature. Each one receives a teacher in accordance with his own consciousness. Your own higher self will make known the teacher when you are ready, for that higher self is in constant communication with the higher selves of others, and only it is able to make the connection between you and others on the same line, who may karmically become your instructors.